Chapter 6097. Charlie said lightly, according to Murphy's Law, bad things will happen sooner or later. Then, Charlie said again, this matter is a leftover bomb. The core of the problem is how to minimize the lethality of the explosion. So remember what I just said. Once the matter is exposed, you must do everything possible to reduce the impact. Charlie also didn't want Elaine to make all the noise. And if she does too much, he and Claire wouldn't be able to get it on their faces either. Jacob nodded like a fool. Son-in-law, I will listen to you. Before Charlie came, Jacob was still angry that Mai Ching was about to marry Pollard. After Charlie came, now he was only worried that Mai Ching would send him an invitation. At the same time, Mai Ching and Pollard were negotiating the guest list for the banquet. Although their social circles are different, their attributes are basically the same. Almost all their friends are in the United States. And they only have some relatively distant relatives in China. As for Aoras Hill locals, both of them have some colleagues. Although Mai Ching has some classmates, they have almost no contact with them. So Jacob is the one who she still sees often. So, the two of them discussed which ones to invite or which ones not to invite. Mai Ching was the first to suggest, let's go through it one by one. Let's talk about the American friends first. My idea is that these people won't make any notification. After all, it's not easy to come over such a long distance. We know the way. Inviting others from afar seems a bit ignorant of the world. What do you think? Pollard nodded and said with a smile, I think the same as you. Although friends in the United States have many contacts and deep friendships, it is really not suitable to inform them to come to the wedding. If they don't want to come, it seems like we are asking for trouble. If they want to come, we will feel bad about it. So my idea is that after we get married, we can take some time to go back to the United States together. It's up to you. I also have my own social circle. When the time comes, let's visit together and introduce each other to each other's friends. What do you think? Mai Ching smiled happily and said, I'm thinking the same thing as you. Likewise, after the wedding is over, take some time to go back to the United States. While revisiting the old place, you can also meet old friends. Pollard smiled and said, that's great, let's just go to the United States for our honeymoon. What do you think? Mai Ching said happily, I'm sure there's no problem. The main thing is can the school be easily accessible? No problem, Pollard said with a smile. I'll say hello to the dean and ask for a wedding leave. A month's time is still no problem. Pollard said, by the way, speaking of colleagues, as for the wedding, I have an idea to invite the dean and a few colleagues who have a good relationship. But the two of us, after all, we are getting older. People in China are very particular about personal relationships. Many colleagues are married, so instead of accepting gifts at our wedding, we invite everyone to come and witness it. And have a lively meal by the way. What do you think? Mai Ching nodded and said with a smile. It's better not to accept the gift. Accepting the gift seems too Philistine. Pollard asked her, then will your colleagues from the University of the Elderly invite you over? Mai Ching thought for a while and said, we will have to work together in the future, and we will meet each other without looking up. If this kind of thing is not notified, people may complain about it. Pollard nodded, hesitated for a moment, and then asked, then, what about Mr. Jackbo? Mai Ching smiled awkwardly. When I left the University for the Elderly today, he said he wanted to treat me to dinner. I said I didn't have time, so I mentioned our situation to him. It stands to reason that he already knows we should also invite him. Pollard asked in surprise, he wants to invite you to dinner? Did he tell you why? No, Mai Ching smiled and said, it's probably having a meal among classmates. In fact, Mai Ching is a smart woman. She guessed Jacob's intention when he invited her to have dinner near the school. So while she declined, she also told him that she was going to marry Pollard. In order to make Jacob give up on her. After all, she had already decided to completely get over the relationship back then. And preparing to get married again, she naturally didn't want Jacob to have any illusions about herself. However, she didn't want Pollard to think too much. So she deliberately downplayed Jacob's possible true intentions. But Pollard is also very smart. He knows the past between Mei-Ching and Jacob. Although he also believes that Mei-Ching will definitely not have feelings for Jacob anymore. When he thinks of Mei-Ching, she has been obsessed with Jacob for more than 30 years. And he is still a little jealous in his heart. However, smart people will not dwell too much on a person's past. Especially the past that has nothing to do with themselves. Therefore, he did not show any jealousy and just said with a smile, "Since you mentioned it to him, wouldn't it be inappropriate not to invite him?"